it's just kind of been my motto now. It's like, why blend in when you're born to stand out? And so I made the decision to get my eye removed. So now I have these fun prosthetics. This year I had a student, she in the middle of the year found out that she actually had to get hearing aids. Looked at the doctor and said, I'm gonna have special ears like Miss Byrd has special eyes. I went home and cried.
Hello and welcome to the Supercast. I'm your host, Superintendent Anthony Godfrey. She was just a teen when she lost an eye to a rare form of cancer, had to wear an eye patch, and suddenly became a target for hurtful teasing. On this episode of the Supercast, hear the incredible story of Columbia Elementary School kindergarten teacher Alexa Byrd. Find out how one middle school teacher taught Alexa to be proud of her eye patch as something that sets her apart. Hear how Alexa now tells her own students to take pride in their individual differences and how that message is making a difference in their young lives. We're at Columbia Elementary today talking with Alexa Byrd about her teaching and her pathway to becoming a teacher. Alexa, thanks for talking with me.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, first of all, just about your teaching career. You're here at Columbia for your second year. Talk to me about how all that came to be.
I went to school at Utah Tech University, and I've always just wanted to be a teacher since the time I was little. People would be like, what do you want to be? And I was never like the princess or an astronaut or a pilot. It was always, I want to be a teacher. And so I went to Utah Tech and I went through their program, and then I went to the job fair and I talked to Jane Olsen there, and the rest was just history. She told me, come to Jordan, and then I got a job interview and I interviewed here, and it just felt right, and I loved the energy and the community and all the questions, and just felt right, and so I said yes.
Well, good job, Jane, for finding Alexa. Tell me, why did you want to be a teacher when you started out at a young age? Why has this always been of interest to you?
Well, my dad is a teacher and my grandma's a teacher, so I come from a really long line of teachers, and I would go to his classroom. He actually worked at Washington High School.
Oh, wow.
And I would be like, I'm going to be a teacher one day, and pretending like I was him, writing on the whiteboards and things. And then when I was going on with my education career in high school, I was diagnosed with meduloepithelioma, which is a cancerous brain tumor in my eye. And so I started fighting that, and I had to go to California every 12 weeks because there was no pediatric ocular oncologist in Utah. And so every 12 weeks I was going to California, and school was my favorite place, and then it became my least favorite place really quick because not for anything except kids were really mean. They would make comments like, geez, Alexa, don't stand so close. I don't want to catch cancer. Or pretending like you have cancer, that's really rude. People die from it all the time. Or, you don't have to pretend to have cancer to get attention. And soon it just became my least favorite place. I felt terrible. I did radiation. And so I was feeling so tired and run down because chemo doesn't really work above your shoulders, and it was in my eye, so radiation was the only option at the time.
So you had to have radiation throughout your body, and you had to go every 12 weeks you had to go to California to receive it?
My cancer is kind of rare, what I had, and so he's like, I'm willing to try it if you are. So it was actually this special made plaque to fit right over my tumor, and they pill like the whites of your eye up and sew it right over your tumor because they couldn't just remove the tumor because it would mess up with your eye pressure and things. So the radiation was the only option, and it was a one-time deal. So they put a lot of radiation in it, and I'd wear it for 10 days to kill it, to get it fast and quick, and then take it off just as fast. But then you feel the effects for a long time after. But I had to go back for checkups and.
Wow. So you said when you had cancer. So are you beyond that at this point?
Yes, I'm cancer-free as of a year ago, because with childhood cancer, to be considered cancer-free, it's 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So I had to wait 5 years, so I finally got it
And
6 years ago.
You have passed your 5-year
Yep.
mark 6 years ago. Wow. So, well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And it must have been particularly heartbreaking that your favorite place became your least favorite place. Tell me how it felt at that time.
I just remember walking down the halls, and I was like, I have to put a huge smile on my face because, at the time I thought, people can't see that I'm sick. People can't know that I feel terrible and I don't want to be here, and I can't let them know that their little tiny jabs and their comments are getting to me. So I would walk down the halls with this smile on my face, walking down like I can't hear them whispering about me, because at the time I could see the tumor, so I was wearing an eye patch, so they would be like, she's only wearing an eye patch to get attention. And so I would walk down and I would just like put my head down and smile if people talked to me, but I hated it and I didn't want to be there. And one time,
it's exhausting to try that all the time, have to be trying to prove
Yes.
yourself or demonstrate to people that you really are okay,
Yes.
even though you're not.
I would go home and I would cry. I remember one time after a particularly hard day, I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to come up with every excuse in the book and never have to come back to this place because I don't want to do it anymore. And that was the day I was walking in. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was walking into math class and I was like, I'm done. I'm never coming back after today. Just get through the day. And that's when my math teacher was there, and she had this huge smile on her face. And it's the kind of smile that's like, you can't help but smile back. And she's like, Alexa, just the person I wanted to see. And I was like, oh, that's okay. That doesn't match my mood I'm feeling right now.
So
that's
was this in front of the class?
Yeah, it was before the bell rang. So
Okay.
there were kids in there, and it was just like the 1 minute before that everybody's like just sitting there waiting for the bell to ring. And I was like, I remember thinking, well, now I can't be grumpy if she's talking to me with a smile on my her face, and
Right.
I can't help but, it was the energy you can't help but matching. And I remember looking at her and being like, yeah, I'm here, haha. And she had this box in her hand, and it was filled with all different kinds of eye patches, and they were like ladybugs and pink camo and sparkly, and it was just this whole box. And she was like, I drove all over town, and we lived 45 minutes from Salt Lake, and she's like, I drove into Salt Lake, and I was looking everywhere for these for you. And she handed me the box, and she was like, I've been thinking a lot about you. And it's like, why blend in when you're born to stand out? And if you have to wear these eye patches, might as well have fun with them. You can match them to your shoes and your outfits, and like we can have a bunch of fun with this. And so I bought this just for you. And I remember like going, oh wow. And like from that day, I would walk in with my fun eye patches, and she'd be like, which one are you wearing? And I'd be like, oh, they match my shoes today, or they match my shirt.
Yeah.
And I remember like she brought the joy coming back to school, and she brought this, like, I wanted to be there. I wanted to go every day to show her which eye patch I was wearing. And soon, like, some of the kids would catch on and be like, wow, I love your eye patch today. And like, they still made those mean comments, but I loved going back to school again, and she was the reason. And it wasn't just because of the academics, it's because she genuinely took the time and showed me she loved me, and I wanted to be there to be with her. And it made what used to be this dark place, and it made me want to come back to school. And she doesn't realize how that little tiny impacted my whole life from that moment. And it's just kind of been my motto now. It's like, why blend in when you're born to stand out? And, I can teach kids that, their differences make them special. And now I don't have to wear eye patches, but I have, because when I was 17, the diagnosis was, your tumor's not responding anymore. And I remember on the way driving home, because from California it's a long drive, I remember thinking like, I'm done. I don't want to go back to California. I just want to I want to go to college, because I was a junior at the time, and I want to start living my life. Like, I want to be able to go with my friends, because after these doctor's appointments, it just made me sick for weeks. So I was like, I want to start going out with my friends, and I want to go to dances, and I want to play basketball. And I remember thinking, I'm done. I'm going to get my eye removed. And so I made the decision to get my eye removed.
And that was specifically so you didn't have to keep going back to California.
Mm-hmm. It kind of like, that was the vibe the doctor was giving, was like, we're going to have to start thinking about it.
So when the doctor was leading you that way, it felt like the right path, but the bonus was that you wouldn't have to keep going back to California, and you felt like you could start moving on and live your life.
Yeah, I would still have to go back, like, for my year checkup just to make sure everything looked good, but I wouldn't have to go every 12 weeks, which is 3 months. So I was like, yeah, I want to start living my life. So I made the decision to get my eye removed. So now I have these fun prosthetics, and like the one I'm wearing right now is blue and sparkly, and I have a Christmas one, and I have a gold Mickey one, and I have a Galaxy one, and the goal is to have one for every single occasion in my life, you know.
Yeah. Stay with us when we come back. More with this amazing second-year teacher and her story of resilience.
Never miss an episode of the Supercast by liking and subscribing on your favorite podcasting platform. Find transcripts for this episode and others at supercast.jordandistrict.org.
Hello, I'm Sandy Reescraft, Director of Communications for Jordan School District, and we want to invite you to connect with us. So many exciting things are happening in your child's school, your neighbor's school, in every school here every day. Don't miss out on following the fun or simply staying informed when there's important information we need to share. Join us at jordandistrict.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Jordan District. We can't wait to connect.
Now, I understand that you actually had a student in your class with a hearing aid. Talk to me about how you connected with that student.
Okay, so this year I had a student, and I got her parents' permission to give her a little shout out, Miss Bailey. But she, in the middle of the year, found out that she actually had to get hearing aids. And, you know, as a 6-year-old getting told that, you know, you have to have hearing aids, that's kind of scary. That's a big thing. That's a big thing that impacts their lives. And we had a conversation, like her mom came, and her mom's awesome, and so she was always working with me, and she came and was like, we're gonna get her hearing aids, and I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. And so the first thing I did was, Bailey is this most enthusiastic little girl I know, and she came up and she's like, I have to get hearing aids. And I was like, oh, and we made it special. And like, we talked about it as a class because at this young age, like, you have this opportunity to impact them and teach them how these differences make them special. And so we talked about how she has a hard time hearing. And so the kids were like, oh, so we have to be quiet. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, so how can we help her? And I was like, oh, she's going to get these things called a hearing aids, and they're going to go in her ear, and they're going to help her hear. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. And so her mom would send me pictures of the whole process. So she would send me pictures, and we'd talk about it in class, and I would be like, oh, Miss Bailey she called them like these bubble gums in her ears, and which was the molding for the hearing aids. And so we talked about it, the whole process. And so, like, as a class, we felt like we were in this process with her because she's a part of our family. Her mom later came and told me it was field day, and so she was telling me, like, they can get wet, and she goes, oh, I just want you to know, like, at the doctor we were talking about how, you know, they're going to help her hear, and they're kind of, some people might say something or they might stare, and she looked at the doctor and said, no, I'm going to have special ears like Miss Byrd has special eyes. Like, we're going to be special. Only the specialist people have things that make them special. And I have pink sparkly hearing aids, and she has a sparkly eye, and we're going to be twins. And it was, and so it just, awesome. So her mom came and told me that, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I went home and cried because that's exactly what I wanted, is I want these kids to know that their differences make them special and to embrace them because that's what makes them stand out.
Tell me about the impact, you know, your math teacher who made this difference.
Miss Williams. And
Miss Williams, have you talked with her about the impact, and does she know that you're a teacher?
Yes. Last year when I was on the interviewed for the new teacher my dad recorded it and sent it to her, and she was like, oh my gosh, that just makes me so happy. I'm so proud. And it's crazy to think that at the moment it didn't seem like it was very big. Like, she went and got me a box of eye patches, and she didn't know, like I said, I put on a really good face. Like, a lot of people don't know how hard it was and how much it impacted me, because I'm really good at putting on a show, I guess. And so she didn't realize how much I was struggling and how much I needed that, and she gave me this box of eye patches, and she has no idea how much it impacted me, because now I can teach the kids and the kids to come, and it's crazy that this cycle is just going to keep going. And it just started with a little box of fun eye patches.
And you said she, traveled around and went to Salt Lake to do that, but, the effort that she made to find the eye patches is not equal in the time that it took to all the trips to California, all the teasing and bullying that you suffered from, all the time that you spent thinking about this, and all of that was counteracted, and your whole trajectory was changed through an effort by this teacher to do something very personalized and individual that she didn't have to do. Nobody expected her to do that. Like you said, it's the last thing you were thinking was going to happen. And even just her greeting changed your outlook. And there are so many students in Jordan District who are going to benefit from what she did for you.
Yeah, like I have said, this is my second year, and my first year it was really hard, but I saw how much the kids they needed somebody to they have hard lives. Like, a lot of the time we don't even know what's going on outside of school, and so making the choice to be the person that they want to come to school for, and you can be the person that shows them a smile and shows them love that some of them they don't have it. And so, her impact doing that for me has really showed me that, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go out and buy a box of eye patches. It can really be like seeing that they need a hug or somebody to talk to, or just even a smile. And that's kind of the theme in my classroom, is everybody's loved. Like, last year at the end of the year, it was a race to tell each other, oh, I love you at the end of the day before we walked out. It's the last thing I say to them every day is, I love you, I can't wait to see you again. And so then they would be like, we'd line up and they'd be like, oh, I love you, Miss Byrd, and it became our game, who can say it first.
Yeah. Well, it is so important for students to feel like someone is looking forward to seeing them, and that's what Ms. Williams did for you, saying, just the person I wanted to see. It's really exciting that you're able to carry that forward and carry that on, and especially in kindergarten, where they are learning how to be in school, and to learn that they belong right from the start is really, really important. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for being out there and making this impact on Alexa, so we get to benefit from your teaching and your positive impact on students. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us and for being a teacher in Jordan School District.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me a job. I love it.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Supercast. Remember, education is the most important thing you'll do today. We'll see you out there.